10 of the rarest animals in the world. More and more species are becoming at risk each year. Nida Al-Fulai from the People's Trust for Endangered Species takes a look at 10 of the rarest animals in the world. It won't be a surprise to anyone that globally we are facing a biodiversity crisis. So many different and complex threats are impacting much of our flora and fauna, with many species becoming more at risk every year, whether they live in our deserts, grasslands, jungles, or countryside. 10. Black and chestnut eagle. Eagles, some of the world's most iconic species, are mostly found in Eurasia and Africa. Only a handful of species live in the Americas, including the rare black and chestnut eagle, which has fewer than 250 adults remaining in the wild. One of the largest raptors of the Andes, these kings of the air have a wingspan of almost 2 meters. Living high in the montane forests from Colombia to Argentina, these birds hunt medium-sized mammals such as squirrels, opossums, and porcupines, as well as birds. But as communities expand in the more remote regions, conflict arises as the eagles sometimes take chickens, a loss the local farmers cannot afford. Conflict resolution measures are underway to ensure the birds can live in harmony alongside the local villagers. 9. Rincon stream frogs. Living at the southern tip of South America, Rincon stream frogs are found in one location on a single plateau in Argentinian Patagonia. These frogs survive the frigid cold winters by spending their lives in warm thermal streams. Listed as critically endangered, the frogs have been at risk from invasive, aggressive rainbow trout and habitat loss as cattle encroach into their habitat. Fish barriers, fencing, and reintroduction efforts are helping this endemic amphibian return to local streams where they'd become extinct. 8. Northern river terrapins. Northern river terrapins, Batagor basca, are one of the most endangered freshwater turtles in the world. Once widespread throughout the mangrove swamps, rivers, and estuaries of West Bengal and Odisha in India, their numbers plummeted due to overcollection of adults and eggs for food, as well as sand mining and pollution. An emergency search in 2008 found just 12 individuals surviving in the forests of West Bengal. These terrapins have formed the core of a captive breeding population, which has successfully returned the first population into the wild, with plans to establish more. 7. Dinagat moonrat. Many endemic species exist on small islands. In the southern part of the Philippines, Dinagat Island is host to two particularly rare animals, the Dinagat moonrat and the Dinagat hairy-tailed rat. These small mammals are so rare that we don't know how many survive on the tiny island, and we can't even source a picture. Half of the island is threatened with mining, so urgent investigations are underway to try and locate the remaining populations and put protection measures in place to ensure their habitat isn't lost. 6. Hirola antelope. Known as the world's most endangered antelope, Hirola number just a few hundred individuals in the wild. Since the 1970s, when an estimated 14,000 antelope roamed the grasslands of Kenya and Somalia, various catastrophes have reduced their numbers to just 600. These shockingly low Hirola numbers are predominantly a result of habitat loss, a decline in the grassland upon which they depend. These landscape changes have been associated with overgrazing, elephant extirpation, fire suppression, and climate variability, compounded by the fact that the region is subject to conflict and drought. Efforts are underway to restore and protect the traditional grasslands they depend on. 5. Albany adders. South Africa is home to critically endangered Albany adders, a species of dwarf adder. With only 17 known records, this is one of the world's rarest snakes. Added to which, their only known location is under threat from open-cast mining, wind turbine, and road developments. Emergency survey work is being carried out to try and locate and protect other populations. The landowners of the areas where the snakes are found are being asked to enter into stewardship agreements with the South African conservation authorities to secure long-term protection for the adders. 4. Roach's mouse. Tailed dormouse. Despite concerted efforts to find other populations, the only known locations of Roach's mouse-tailed dormouse are in southwestern Bulgaria. It's one of the least known and rarest rodents in Europe. These dormice live in open and semi-open habitats with old trees and little agricultural activity, a habitat still very common in southeastern Europe. But this habitat is increasingly under threat, either from being converted to intensive agricultural land or, if left unfarmed, to enclosed forest. Hibernating for at least 6 months annually means these animals are only active long enough to produce 1 litter of young each year. 3. Bawean warty pigs. Bawean warty pigs, found on the Indonesian island of Bawean, may number just a few hundred. Closely related to the Javan warty pig, they're actually a distinct species that probably diverged about 160,000 years ago. Deforestation is a huge problem in Indonesia. On Bawean, only 10% of the original forest remains. As the pigs forage outside the safety of the forest for food, they come into conflict with people who see them as pests. Work is progressing to reduce crop raiding by the animals whilst promoting coexistence with the local communities. 2. Golden langurs. Considered one of the 25 most endangered primates in the world, golden langur numbers have dropped by as much as 60% in Bhutan. The only other known population lives in Assam, northern India. Their stark black hands and faces contrast sharply with their cream-colored fur which glows gold under the sun. With half-meter-long tails, these monkeys are perfectly adapted to life in the trees. But their forest homes are highly fragmented, which means roadkill is a huge threat. Reforestation and the innovative use of wildlife-friendly bridges are reconnecting previously isolated groups. 1. Siamese crocodiles. The critically endangered Siamese crocodile was once widespread throughout much of mainland Southeast Asia. It is now absent from 99% of its former range, and the total number of mature Siamese crocodiles is thought to have declined to an estimated 250 in the wild. The species was so rare, it was only thanks to a chance rediscovery of some individuals in Cambodia's Cardamom Mountains that there's any conservation program today at all.